Simon, where's your head this morning in regards to Mauricio Pochettino?
My head with Pochettino is the same as he's always been. He's a bridesmaid. He's a very, very good manager. And obviously you don't get the jobs and do the jobs that he's done, moving from Southampton, where people didn't think that he would take over from Nigel Watkins very well, and he took him on to another level and brought a style of play that were people were so impressed with it, got in the Tottenham job. Did very well with Tottenham with a very good group of players that were in their pomp at that particular time, but didn't win games that he could and should have won, semi-finals that they lost, that they let it get away from them in the FA Cup. And then you go on to PSG. Now, I know that he would have not had one of his star players out there yesterday, but he had his star player out again in the first leg, and they got bashed into the next life in the second half. They got beaten by a better side. Pochettino, to me, despite the loving that certain people have for him, he's not at the level of Guardiola. There's an extra XY factor that goes with the Mourinhos of the world, whether he's out of currency now or not, or the Klopps of the world, and certainly the Guardiolas. There's this little bit of extra juice that I don't think Pochettino has. And I think that it showed not just at PSG, I think it showed at times at Tottenham. I think he's a very good manager, but he's just a slight cut below the very, very best.
So he's not an elite manager?
He's an elite manager, but he's not the elite amongst the elite.
Right. I think he falls short at this time.
It's happened before, hasn't it? And you look at the semi-final where they won in the Champions League with Spurs, and we spoke about it off air, and the amount of emotion that he's shown in that game. And then
which you hated.
And after that, they got beat in the final, and then they went on a 12-11 game beaten run where they couldn't win a game. So I think,
and they'd been poor, quite frankly, leading up to that final, because they had lost more games in that season than they'd lost in the previous ones.
But he still took Tottenham to a Champions
He
League
did.
final.
And if you look at
that in itself is incredible.
Well, just look at the journey to the semi-final against Manchester City. They've beaten Bayern Munich and they've beaten Barcelona, both away from home. So to pull off that, you have to have some kind of mettle about you, and you have to be some kind of leader of men. But when you're talking about picking up the silverware, at the moment, he's not shown that he's capable of doing that with a team.
You can look at cup runs all the way down the years. You can look at Crystal Palace in 1976, knocking out teams left, right and centre, getting to the cup semi-final, losing to Southampton, and say, does that define that team? They were in the third division at the time. You can have cup runs. You have to win. It's all well and good having your moment in the sun, but if that moment in the sun doesn't actually deliver an outcome with something at the end of it, of tangibility, then it's irrelevant, Trev. And PSG, despite all the observations about what criticism I give Man City, people seem to forget when they get the praise because they only want to focus on the criticism. Man City were, said by me, in a different zone as a football team to PSG. They didn't just beat PSG, they handed them their backside.
So what you're saying, it's not just all about money? Because
no, of course, money is a key ingredient, but the ability to be able to harness it, you can give a fool a whole bag of money and they can go and buy players and not be able to do anything with them. Guardiola has the ability to do both.
Yeah.
Without the money, would he be successful? We'll debate that until the cows come home, because that will never be proven.
Well, no, because he's an elite manager, and he'll
never
never
manage Chesterfield, so we'll never be able to prove that argument. But the fact of the matter is that he's harnessed a team that is beautiful to watch and difficult to play against. And PSG, I'm afraid, were not in the same zone as Man City.
Simon, let me ask you this. Say Ole goes on with United and wins the Europa League. Does that make him more of an elite manager than Pochettino?
Difficult question to answer, because my views on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if you give a broken clock, will be right twice a day. Right, and eventually, if you keep on patronising somebody and keep on giving them a lot of money, there's a distinct possibility they might win something. So, does it make him more of an elite manager? I suppose by definition it has to, because he's won something. But that doesn't mean that my central theme about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer of overtaking the elite guys to win the Premier League, the central theme of my argument for stop with Guardiola, and I know I diverted from it and said he'll win nothing, and maybe he'll win the Europa League. Okay, great, win the Europa League if that's what Man United want to achieve. They won that under Mourinho, and everyone thought Mourinho was a busted flush. So aren't Man United about evolving? And I know we'll have the endless excuse now that, they had to go one step back, take two steps forwards. We'll see, won't we? We'll see. I mean,
we will see.
You can't. I mean, come on. You get Granada in the Europa League. You get Granada, and you think this is a sustainable tournament. Tony Adams was teaching them disco dancing 3 years ago.
Granada have just beaten Barcelona in the La Liga.
Right. So what?
So they're a good team.
Yeah. Sheffield United beat Man United. Where are they? They're going to be in the Champions next year. What's that got to do with the price of cheese?
No, but there was a degree you were slightly back on yesterday's fence, but you've climbed back off it. If United
I
do
just didn't
win,
want to behead people like you did yesterday.
If United do win the Europa League under
it'll be an
Ole,
achievement. It'll be an achievement.
then it's an achievement in
It is
itself.
indeed, yes.
And in terms of eliteness,
Yes.
he does nudge a notch above
Okay,
Poch.
in the Pochettino Ole Gunnar Solskjaer argument, he's the best of the bad bunch. Then in that argument.
He's the best.
So-
In the
Audience.
Pochettino versus Ole Gunnar Solskjaer argument, he's the best of that particular bad bunch of underachievers.
You're not suggesting that Ole is in any way a bridesmaid.
Well, no, because if he wins something, he'll be a bride, won't he?
Yes.
But it'll be an ugly bride that's won an ugly competition.
You're now getting ridiculous. I mean, that